Good evening all. My name is Marco Cornelio.
And I'm Catherine Cornelio.
We're family doctors, and we've been practicing for the past 12 years here in Maine. And tonight we're going to talk a little bit about faith and healing. We'll admit, I guess we'll admit two things. One, we didn't plan to dress like this. We got dressed separately, but yes, it was a blue and brown day tonight, I guess. But then the second thing, we'll admit that we're not experts in this, but we certainly have a lot of experience talking with patients about their faith and their health. And so we're going to bring some of that in, and we're going to do more of a kind of a guided discussion as a group, where there'll be opportunities for you to share with one another about your thoughts and about this, and then we'll bring in some aspects of it as well.
All right, so kind of to start off as a palate cleanser, we want everyone to try and write down about how you're feeling right now. What are you worried about? What are the pressures? It's been a busy, long weekend with everything going on with the holidays, so just kind of to set the tone, just write down what you've been thinking about and feeling.
As you finish up your writing, there is coffee over here, so if everyone would like to, feel free at any point to get some. For those who don't know, the restrooms are over there as well. Okay. All right, so we're now going to go through, we're going to play a little video of a guided Catholic meditation. So I encourage you all to participate as much as you feel comfortable to. And so we'll put this on and
I would like to begin by inviting you to find a comfortable position. If possible,
see you all here.
Gently close your eyes, bringing your attention to your breathing. As you are able, take some really long, deep breaths. Feel the air enter through your nostrils, filling the lungs to capacity, right down into your abdomen, feeling the full expansion before you allow your abdomen to gently contract, followed by the lungs, noticing the air as it departs through the nostrils. In your own time, repeat this at least 3 times. Some find it helpful to count to 5 on the in-breath, and again on the out-breath. We remember that the word breath literally means spirit. Bringing our attention to our breathing has a profound spiritual intention to be more present to that which is right here, right now, to spirit. Now slowly bring your full inward attention to your feet. Feel the ground firmly under your feet, supporting you at all times. Rest into this. Bring your awareness to your legs, making sure that you're not holding any tension. And again, to your hips, breathing in, come aware of any tension you're holding in this area of your body. Breathing out, release the tension. Let your abdomen relax. Now, allow your hands if sitting, rest your hands on your legs, allowing your arms to relax. Bring your attention to your shoulders. Breathing in, become aware of any tension you are holding here. And breathing out, release this tension. Bring your awareness to your jaw, a strange place of tension. Your forehead. And know that a gentle smile can relax thousands of muscles in your face. Notice how your whole body feels now. Release any other areas of tension and ease into this more relaxed state. Slowly bring your awareness to your breathing. This time, just noticing your breathing exactly as it is, following your in-breath and your out-breath. Try not to control it. Just place your full attention on the natural flow of your breath. Thoughts and feelings of all sorts will come and go. This is what the mind does. Simply bring yourself back to your breath. Allow your breath to be your anchor now. Now, as it is helpful, allow a sacred word to arise in your mind. Do not spend too much time thinking of this word. For example, peace, love, and once chosen, align this short word or phrase with your breathing. This can help you stay centered in the present moment. Again, thoughts and feelings of all sorts will come and go. Try to think of them simply like leaves on a stream or clouds in the sky, and simply bring yourself back to your breathing and your sacred word. As we enter into a few minutes of extended silence together. Now gently move your toes, your feet, your arms and legs. And before opening your eyes, remember that you can bring yourself back to your breath as you move through the day, knowing it is an anchor to the present moment, where you can be more present to yourself, to other people, and to presence itself, God, however you understand this, the source and comforter of our being. There is no right or wrong way to do meditation. A non-judgmental mind is foundational to the practice. Breath, body awareness, sacred word. Always remembering that even now, during this strange time, God is with you, as near to you as your breath. Continue giving yourself this gift to pause, breathe, and heal, knowing you are not alone.
All right. Now, I want you back.
As we come back, before we come back to the group, we're going to say one scripture. Our God himself goes before you and will be with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. Do not.
So now we want you guys to look at what you just wrote about how you were feeling when you first came in. What your body was feeling like, what your mind was thinking. And And now try and compare that to how you're feeling now. Do you feel any different? Do you feel better? Do you feel more antsy? Like, and kind of reflect on that. And if anyone wants to either write that down or share any differences you might feel, that would be great. Or how this meditation practice made you feel just in general. Have you done this before, or is this something that's new?
I would say I felt calmer and more peaceful after.
Great. Yes.
Cindy, I heard you say you can be good at meditation, but to be honest, when I try to do meditation and follow along with it, my mind tends to go back to what needs to be done when I get home, what has to get done before I go to work tomorrow. So I'm just being honest.
Yeah.
But at the same time that I'm trying to do the thing, and so.
Yeah, that's really common, right? This is all a practice.
Very normal. I think most people feel like that as well. And even ones who practice this again and again and again, they get better at that and they're able to push that away, but not fully, because that's what our brain does. That's normal to feel that. There wasn't any snoring, which I doubt. That can happen as well. So and that's okay if that does happen. But that can be kind of common.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I found this very relaxing. It was wonderful today. Sometimes when I meditate or do centering prayer, very similar to this, I notice my mind is super busy, and I try to take it as it's not about how the mind is in that moment, but we're releasing those things, and I just had a lot to kind of let go of, whether it's stuff that I need to be doing or whatever else. And so I think that there's, even when our mind is busy, that there can be benefit in that.
Great.
Our mind's always kind of going whether we realize it or not, and it wants to come out. And so this is a great opportunity to just let it come out. And even if you didn't do all those things that you said you need to kind of do tomorrow, just having it out there and just as a way of coming out is really helpful and can be really therapeutic. So this was like I don't know, it might have felt like a long time. It was only a 7-minute one, it might have felt longer, but there's many different variations to this. 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And as you said, like there was a little bit of faith in there or religion in there, but it could be much more. And you could even just doing the rosary as well is a way of meditation as well. So there are many different forms of it. So we'll move on now. And so the talk is faith and healing. And we thought before we just kind of jump right into it, I think we kind of have to define what is faith and what is healing. So we all know we're all coming from the same point. So back at your tables, why don't you don't have to write it down, you can if you like, but just talk amongst each other on the table. What does faith mean to you? What do you see when you think of faith? What is faith? Just talk amongst yourselves, and then if someone feels comfortable to share, we'll have you share as well. Just take a couple minutes.
Just kidding. No offense to you. Bill and I, we're outnumbered. And the woman in red, it's like a pool.
So I know this is it's a big thing, and I feel overwhelmed a little bit just thinking about it. When someone asks like, "What does faith mean?" But it is. Yeah. I don't know. Does anyone want to share what was talked about at the table, or something that was shared about? What is faith necessarily a right or wrong answer, yeah.
Well, I started to share that faith is knowing that all is in God's hands. And that with faith, knowing that I'm here, we're all here for a certain reason, and we all have a mission that's for us individually, as part of the body.
That's great. And then others, thoughts, either responding to that or something different?
But we also discussed on the table that faith does not necessarily or have to be religious in nature. That there's that point of having faith in yourself or faith in someone else or, faith that you can do it. So we talked about the fact that there's a lot of different things that can be associated to different people about faith.
That's definitely true.
Excellent, yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, we talked about some of the similar about that, about faith being different for each person, and having certain circumstances in your life that you can control, and taking action with those, and then having certain circumstances you can't control, having the faith to understand that hopefully things work out for the best.
Mhm. We hear hope again coming out. Yeah. Great. Anyone else want to share?
It's a, I talked about it as a personal because I could not get through life without faith.
Mm-hmm.
And faith and healing together, they go together because I don't feel like we heal without the faith that I have. And it does so much more for us than we realize. I don't know how anybody gets by without faith.
Mm-hmm.
But that's personal.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes these things are tough to tough to define, but we can explain it in like personal experiences
Yeah.
as well, and that's a good way of doing it sometimes too. So. Yeah, that's great. Anyone else want to share? Yeah.
So we talked a lot about faith as it relates to like hope and trust, and then for me personally, faith is more of like a tapestry, like you kind of like open yourself up to the possibility of being part of God's creation, and that having faith allows you to accept that amazing gift.
That's excellent. Anyone else? I think it was nice to just kind of hear that it can be a little different for other people, but each one of us. I found, when I was looking at it, I found that in the book of Hebrews, in chapter 11, it says that faith is the realization of what is hoped for in evidence of things not seen. There's hope in there as
That
well.
theme of hope. And so you brought a lovely segue into what healing, and our next question for you guys is to think about what healing means for each of you. And again, that can be different, but to try and, as a group, talk about that. So if you guys want to just take another couple of minutes of what healing means.
I'll just do another minute and then we'll share.
It's a spiritual healing. Like that's really kind of physical. So, and people do feel better. At least they tell me
Great. Does anyone want to share what they talked about in terms of what healing means?
Okay. I mean, we talked about, there can be a physical or an emotional healing, like a repair. But healing can also be acceptance when a repair isn't going to happen.
So we reach a point where we accept the limitation, whatever it happens to be, that is the emotional or the physical ailment, let's say. And we know it's not going to get any better absent any kind of miracle. So we're healed in terms of accepting it and moving on. Other thoughts?
I did it again, and I think this is my personal thing, but healing can come from within. It can also come to you, and that's where I connect faith, healing, and prayer, because I pray and I see the healing effects that happen. I don't know, you just need the whole package. You know, but the healing, yes, we all deal with it differently. It doesn't have to necessarily be pills. It can be other things.
Comes in many different ways
Yes.
within us, from others, from outside as well.
Yes.
Yeah, great.
Others?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's what I did that one time. She was saying how that faith and healing can mean many different things. Sometimes from within us, because we may heal ourselves from within us, or from outside as well.
There's something called Reiki, is healing.
Another example of where it can come from somewhere else, just like you were mentioning about faith being, there's lots of forms of faith, there can be lots of forms of healing as well.
Okay. With healing and the acceptance, I think acceptance, as they said, needs to be part of that to be truly healed. But that with acceptance comes peace. And that's really, you enter the state of peace when you are healed.
Did you hear that? She was saying that the relationship between healing and peace and acceptance and how they all work together in that process.
Talk about body, mind, and soul, spiritual, emotional, besides some of the components, you're trying to restore them to where they are, or that, or close to where they are. People go through different illnesses or family crises and that sort of stuff too. It won't ever be made whole, but maybe you get to a place again where there is some healing that is it's restoring to some form of that.
And so kind of along with that, I'm an osteopathic physician, so I went to UNE for medical school, and one of the tenets was mind, body, spirit, and focusing on all aspects of that in terms of the healing process. So yeah, that's something that a lot of us, we learn in our training even as we're working to take care of our patients. So, yep.
We talked about forgiveness as a portal to healing eventually.
Healing for both the person who's being forgiven and the person doing the forgiving. So that's a good point. Those are all wonderful answers.
Yeah, it's great, just kind of like how faith is, it can mean, healing can mean something different for each one of us. I'm gonna offer another definition of healing that I found and see what you guys think about it. But, so if you look in the dictionary, you look at to heal itself comes from the Old English, which means to make whole or to make sound. You mentioned all making whole. And it's heal in, I don't know if I pronounce that, but heal in is the Old English word, and it's the condition or state of being as a whole. And then hal, H-A-L, the beginning part of it, is the root for holy in Old English. And so, which means spiritually whole. And so there's already a connection between spirituality and healing, just from that data. I think a lot of us brought that up as well. We hear faith and spirituality. So great. So now we have these two kind of definitions that we know, faith and healing, and we know it's a little bit different for all of us. And there's already been some talk about this connection, you know, and so I want to just explore now about how is it similar? How do you feel both faith in healing, or you even include faith in medicine, are similar? What are some ways that you might think that they're similar? Think a little bit about that. Yeah.
We kind of touched on it already, just in regards to like if you have faith within yourself that you can heal yourself, say on like a PT route, physical therapy route, like showing up every day for yourself, believing that the treatment you're receiving is going to heal you. It's like half the battle. Because if you like stick yourself in the mud, in the negativity that nothing's going to work, you're always going to stay there, and it kind of like inhibits your ability to heal, I would say.
So your attitude, your perception of yourself plays a role in how we can heal. Yeah.
We see that a lot with our patients, that when they believe in themselves and when they are actively participating in that plan, so often they're able, when they're mentally and with that treatment, they're so much more successful and feel so much better afterwards. So it is really important.
No fear.
Fear, you said fear is related to no fear.
I mean, no fear.
Yeah,
No fear.
not being afraid. Mm-hmm. It's interesting you mentioned fear. I would agree, because actually our fear can actually play a lot into how we even perceive pain in our body. You know that, how much we fear something bad's going on can make us feel a little more strong pain or not. So that's absolutely true. Other thoughts about this connection, this similarity?
I would just say there's a trust factor too, right? A trust and a faith factor. Like, I don't know what's going on with my body that I go to the doctor's on or something like that, and they have these treatments that are for me. There has to be a faith factor. Hey, I believe in what you are. I can't see it. I don't know what's going to happen, but I trust you. That's a little bit of faith that, hey, I trust you and I believe in you. It's certainly a component.
Yeah, that's awesome, and that's great you kind of said that. So one thing that we looked up and read about, there was this article this person wrote, and they did say exactly kind of like that. I'll just read some parts of it. It said, we don't see how the medicine we take works in our body. We don't typically see how a surgeon may use their hands or their instrument to fix us. And similarly, we don't see with our eyes how God works within us. We don't see the details of how our prayers may be answered. You have to trust you are given the right medications to help you, and you have to trust that God will guide you in your life as well.
And for us, again, kind of we're both in primary care, so we have the honor of being able to work with patients through the years and really trying to build that trust, connect with our patients, learn about their faith, and be able to kind of use that all together to come up with a plan that works for them, combining both their views and the medicine that we've spent hours learning about. So it definitely is all so connected.
Any other thoughts or responses to that? Or?
Do you actually talk to your patients about their faith and their religion
One of the questions, and even as something as basic as within our computer system, there is a question that asks them if they have a religion. And one of the things we learn about is we talk to patients about something called social determinants of health and things that might impact their health. And one of them is, do they go and participate in social activities, including religious activities? And sometimes it can be a form of connection with our patients, like they might see someone's wearing a Mary or like a crucifix or something, like having those conversations. And sometimes it's led to the patients being so like appreciative. So it's not always something we do with every patient, but when there are opportunities or someone's feeling alone, it's a good way of saying, well, what other connections do you have? Do
it definitely gets brought up a lot from patients of, sometimes just casually of, I didn't feel really good last night, my chest was really hurting, and I didn't want to go to the emergency room, so I prayed that I would make it through the night, and then I would call the next morning, so you get that, and then you can delve into that. Definitely, at the end of life, we hear that a lot, and talking with patients who are older, and I can remember there's a 89-year-old patient who I talked to her about doing this talk, and she's like, please share my story, and she constantly says, like, I'm waiting for God to take me. I'm ready. I'm waiting for him to take me. And she mentioned a lot also, she struggles with addiction, with alcohol use, and she told this really great story of how she was able to stop drinking by having, by some person kind of telling her to pray, and then she didn't believe her at first, and then she said she saw an angel afterwards. And then ever since that day, she hasn't drank alcohol again. And she stuck with that. So it comes up.
Yeah.
Do you have patients that interview you to see if you have faith?
I
I'm sorry, what was the question? Do you have patients kind of interview you, maybe interview could be too strong a word, but kind of gather whether or not you're faith oriented?
So the question was if patients ask us if we're faith oriented, and I would say I haven't had anyone like really push, but sometimes they'll kind of ask, or if I've asked them, they'll be like, well, what about you? And so it's something that I'll share. And so that it comes up sometimes, but not a ton. But and we'll even have patients who, like, if we think they need mental health support, but they don't feel comfortable talking to a counselor, we'll be like, well, who are your supports? Who can you talk to? And they will bring up their faith community or their priest or their pastor, and how that's the place where they feel comfortable sharing their feelings and getting support that way. Other thoughts? Yeah.
I was just thinking, what about people that go the opposite way? They have faith in God and you tell them to take medicine. Well, I'm not gonna take that. I'll pray to God and yell me up, and what do you do in a situation like that? That kind of puts you on the, okay.
I think one of the ways to discuss it with them is, why, like, bringing in the science of it, like, we've been given this gift of learning about all of these tools that God has provided us to be able to provide to you. But at the end of the day, they have that free will of making that own decision. We can't force anyone, and that's where building that trust, continuing the discussions, even if they don't decide today they're ready, maybe next time if we honor them and promote the conversation, we try to bring them in that way. Just like in faith, we try, in church, we try to, bring people in and try and meet them where they're at. And in social justice, we do a lot of that. That's something that's important in church and with our patients.
It certainly depends on, what their religion is on that, and I don't know all their religions, and so we're just kind of supporting them and trying to help them understand and making sure we're just here to help them make the right decision to them. I know from a Catholic's point of view, we looked into the catechism before we did this talk. Okay, does that say anything about this? And it actually does answer kind of that your question right there. It is okay to take these medicines and trust medical science, and it's not against the Catholicism to do that as well. So I guess if a patient is Catholic, I could maybe counsel on that there, but if it's some other religion, I wouldn't necessarily know, and I would probably refer them to talk to whoever their spiritual leader is and ask them. But, those questions come up in many different ways. I can just share a quick story if that's okay. So when I was in medical school at Tufts Medical Center, I was part of the ethics consult for a little while, and I worked with the chaplain, who was a Jesuit priest, really nice gentleman. We would go around and talk to a lot of families and these end-of-life decisions. And at the same time, my grandfather developed getting worse in congestive heart failure, and he ended up going to the hospital and to the ICU, and he was on a ventilator and there for, I think at this 4 or 5 days, and the doctors were trying to kindly say to my mother, my grandmother, my aunt, that, you know, he's probably not going to make it, or he should probably like go on the ventilator and not give ongoing care. And they struggled with that. My mom and my grandmother, they didn't think they could do that they would be killing him. And so I had this priest come talk to them. We had like a family meeting, and he had to like help them understand, like, no, that's okay. And so these things happen. And so I think it's always good to incorporate some spiritual leader or someone that they trust. They need someone that they trusted really well to give them an answer. And that, for us, as Catholics, it could be a chaplain, it could be a priest, it could be someone, a deacon, but every other religion could be something else.
I just wanted to mention too, I just think it's worthwhile to know, if we don't already, about the document that the diocese has of 3 beliefs in terms of end-of-life decisions. And it's available on the website. And when my husband and I were working on our will, we incorporated it into our will.
That's awesome. So that's on the diocese website.
Right.
Yeah.
The 3 beliefs.
3 beliefs.
All right, if we don't have any other comments, we'll move on. So there's a couple of the things we wanted to talk about. I think we kind of mentioned a little bit about this, but we don't have to kind of go in groups. But in general, we wanted to see, how do you feel faith can heal? How does faith heal? Is it just a magical thing, or is there something else that happens? What do people think? Another way you can kind of think about this, and I'll try to help answer it, is like, how have you seen faith heal yourself or someone else? Yeah. It lowers the stress.
And stress really does a lot for the body.
Mhm.
So lowers the stress. Those feelings are functioning.
In the New Testament, every time Jesus heals someone, it's in response to the person's faith. So the person believes that Jesus can heal them. And in some of the situations, it's not the faith of the person, but it's the faith of someone else, like the centurion and the servant. So our faith can help heal someone else as we pray and ask for that healing.
One example that I've seen is, and some of you may have too, if you go to Saint Anne de Beaupré up in Quebec, when you go in on the pillars, there's old crutches, I saw bottles of Coumadin, epilepsy helmets that were placed there from people who had been healed after going there. And seeing that it wasn't just crutches from like 100 years ago, but that there were like fresh bottles there, was something that even for me was like very touching and moving to see that people are still finding that now, like in modern times. So.
Strength and energy it can provide too, right? Believing in something or believing so positively, so strong, you know, like, it can give you courage too as well. All can help in the process, wash away, be able to wash away, you know, the worries and concerns, and also too the positive energy to help you with that.
Give a sense of hope, courage, things like that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Go ahead, yeah.
Well, I think faith involves active participation. You know, when you believe in something, in someone, or God, or the medicine, or the doctor, you become a participant. And that can be healing. You become receptive. You're not fighting it. And I know a person who had breast cancer, and she
Yeah.
There's a great movie called Breakthrough. I don't know if anyone's heard of it, about the 15-year-old boy that was fell through the ice and died for about, I think he was dead for about an hour, and the doctors just gave up hope, and the mother literally prayed him back to life. It's an amazing story if you haven't seen it, based on a true story.
Speaking of prayer, what about prayer in healing? How do we think of prayer help?
Because even if I've seen where healing for praying for someone else, as a group, or you, your brother, or whatever, yes, it has healed.
Yeah.
And healing, just, it means a lot. It means a lot, the prayer and the healing, because we see it all the time. But people on TV don't say, I'm so blessed. They say, oh, I'm so lucky. No, you're not lucky. God bless. Come to us and have a good day. And when you're working with someone and you're praying beside them, helping them to heal, and then comes the faith, and then it's all together. We work together.
It's really strong, but just a prayer is really strong with somebody else, as Ed, or as praying for other people as well. And one thing, if the person knows that others are thinking of them or praying for them, it does give them a sense of hope as well, that others believe, and so that helps them believe. It also gives them the sense of increased worth. We often can have these sense of being worthless, but if other people care about me, I should be around, I should be working, subconsciously we're going to think like this as well. So it has those effects as well.
And illness can be so isolating sometimes, especially if it's something that's not visible to others. So, when those people then are feeling that sense of community, it can really help remove that barrier to their care because they're not feeling alone.
Yeah.
I don't really want to speak, but I'm compelled to share something concerning prayer. A number of years ago, 11 years ago, I was facing my own mortality. And Father Murphy, who was the parish priest at the time, my natural instinct brought up in the family where if something is wrong, you keep it to yourself, you don't tell me. Okay? For Father Murphy, we brought it, the Holy Spirit Mary. And I had people praying for me. Oh, I don't know how many there were. As far as the Vatican, for God's sake, it just spread. My wife bumped into people that she hadn't met before who, are you that Champagne from that family? And it was unbelievable, to the point that I actually felt it when people started slacking off on the prayer. But in either case, it was like the night before the surgery, I met the surgeon. She was short, out of shape, had oval glasses, had street clothes on, and I was expecting 6'4" surgeon, salt and pepper hair, handsome looking man like Ben Casey was years ago. And from that point on, I accepted that through those prayers, I had the strength to accept it, whatever God's will was, I accepted it. And you wouldn't believe all the little miracles that happened after that. There was absolutely no fear. I felt pain, I felt suffering, but I was not hurt. It didn't affect me. And there's been no complications. And anyway, the power of prayer is just through faith and belief and trust in God. And our society doesn't teach us that, That's why we're all here in a sense. We're all here helping each other. Thank you.
Walking the walk with Reg, I'm really happy to hear him say that no matter what the outcome was, he was ready to accept it.
And I did. Yeah.
You won, but when I had a niece that went through the same thing this year, but she didn't make it.
get to, but and there's actually, what we're going to say next, but there actually are many studies that have shown that people who are really religious or spiritual, that they have better health outcomes as well. There's been a lot of studies in the lower, having less heart disease and heart rate from the meditation can actually lower our heart rate, our blood pressure has been proven, which was kind of like mind-blowing when it first kind of came out that we saw this. But and then there's also, we're going to make one last reference to blue zones. I don't know if you ever heard of blue zones, but it's this researcher who looked at around the world at which populations, which people live the longest and why. And although what they're being active and eating healthy was a big component of it, being socially engaged is actually just as important as well. And community and, through your religion can definitely add that community also. So just to kind of keep that in mind as well.
Thank you all so much for participating.